My mother showed up at my door after 23 years, smiling like nothing had happened. She said she'd come to make things right. Then she asked for $60,000 for my half-brother's college and $3,000 a month to help the family. I just stood there watching the woman who left me and Dad scrape by now, calculating my worth like a paycheck. I shut the door that night, but that was only round one. Because when I caught them breaking into my laptop a week later, I realized this wasn't about forgiveness. It was a heist wearing a mother's face. Before I tell you what I did next, hit like and tell me where you're watching from. Have you ever had family show up only when there's money involved? Your stories remind me I'm not the only one. I grew up in a one-story house off Route 6 in Ohio, where the diner grease never really left my dad's hands. He was David Foster, the kind of man who'd work 16 hours and still save enough warmth to ask how my homework went. When my mom, Marie, packed a suitcase and left us, I was 9. There was no goodbye, just the sound of the front door snapping shut and Dad's breath catching in his throat. That was the night I learned silence can be louder than any fight. After that, it was just him and me against overdue bills. I babysat delivered papers at dawn, scrubbed tables after school. Every dollar went into a coffee tin labeled rent. We were broke, but we were solid. Dad never blamed her, at least not out loud. He'd just say, "We'll be fine, Ivy. People show you who they are when times get tight." I carried that line like scripture. Through high school, through the nights I fell asleep over math textbooks, through the scholarship letter that became my ticket out. College turned me into a machine work study repeat. I built the life she said she wanted, downtown apartment salary that paid on-time, fridge that stayed full. But success has a way of echoing in the wrong ears. I didn't know she'd been tracking me through old friends, that she knew what I made, what I drove, where I lived. When she appeared that autumn evening, the light was soft orange. My apartment calmed the city hum, fading behind glass. For a second, I thought maybe she'd come to say sorry. Then she smiled the way salespeople do, friendly, but already counting the commission. Caleb, my half-brother, flopped onto my couch shoes on the table, scrolling through his phone like he owned the place. She talked about reconnecting, about family, helping family. Then came the price tag, his tuition, their rent, their fresh start. Her tone was sweet, but her eyes measured every reaction I gave like data points she could use. I wanted to believe this was a mistake, that maybe she just worded it wrong, that she still had some love left. But the way she glanced around my apartment, the way he smirked at my furniture, it all felt rehearsed. That night after they left, I sat at my kitchen table staring at the coffee tin I still kept out of habit. Empty now, I didn't need it anymore. Still, I tapped the lid, wondering if Dad's words had just circled back to test me. Because people do show you who they are when times get tight. And the next time I saw them, they proved it again worse. I didn't hear from her for 3 days after that first visit. Long enough for the hope to fade, but not long enough for the unease to leave. Then a text popped up while I was finishing a report at work. "Mom, can we meet for coffee, just to talk?" I almost deleted it. But curiosity is a dangerous thing when you've spent your life wondering why. So that Saturday, I met her at a cafe downtown, the kind of place where people linger with laptops and playlists of soft jazz. She waved when I walked in, her smile wide rehearsed. Caleb was already there, slumped in a corner seat, his AirPods in. I sat across from them, keeping my coat on my bag still zipped. Mom reached for my hand. "Ivy, I missed you so much. I've wanted to explain everything for years." Her voice trembled just enough to sound sincere. I didn't move. Then explain. She launched into a story about how Dad had kept me from her, how he'd changed numbers, moved towns, made sure she couldn't reach me. Her words spilled fast, too polished to be spontaneous. "He wanted to hurt me," she said, eyes glistening. "You were all I had, and he took you." The cafe noise dimmed around me. For a moment, she almost had me. Almost. But then I remembered the nights Dad came home covered in diner grease, sitting at the table, too tired to eat, still waiting for her call that never came. "You know that's not true," I said quietly. She blinked, the act slipping. "You think your father's a saint? He's a failure, Ivy. He couldn't give you what you deserved." Caleb smirked. "Guess he didn't teach you generosity either." Something sharp twisted in my chest. "Excuse me." He finally looked up from his phone. You make good money, right? I saw the car you drive. Mom just needs a little help with tuition. 60 grand isn't that much for you. Mom placed a hand on his arm, fake chastising. Caleb, sweetie, that's not how you ask. Then turning back to me, we just want a chance to start over. I felt heat crawl up my neck by draining my bank account. Her eyes flashed. Don't say that. Family helps family. That word family felt like a knife. Where was that family when Dad and I were counting coins for groceries? I stood up, voice shaking but steady. You left. You don't get to rewrite history because you need cash. Caleb scoffed. You've changed. Good, I said. That was the point. The table went silent. Her face hardened lips, pressed thin. You'll regret this, Ivy. I stared at her for a long beat, then turned and walked out into the late afternoon sun. My hands were trembling, but my steps didn't falter. Outside, the air smelled like burnt espresso and rain. I didn't know it yet, but this was only their opening move, and I was about to learn just how far family would go. I thought that coffee shop scene would be the end of it, just another ugly conversation I could file away and forget. But a week later, another message came through. Mom, let's start over. Lunch, my treat. Against my better judgment, I said yes. Not because I wanted closure, but because I needed to hear it from her lips, the truth she'd been avoiding. We met at a different cafe this time, a sunny place on Orange Avenue with brass lamps and soft country music, humming from the speakers. She was already there, waving too hard, wearing a pearl necklace that looked borrowed. Caleb was beside her again, tapping on his phone like he couldn't stand to be seen with us. When I sat down, Mom looked at me like she was the injured one. You've been distant, she said, voice coated in honey. I leaned back, crossing my arms. I've been busy working. You remember what that's like? She ignored the jab. You know I really tried with your father. He made things impossible. He didn't want me to be part of your life. There it was again, the rewrite. You left Mom. Her eyes filled instantly, tears on command. He shut me out, Ivy. You were just a little girl. You don't remember. Caleb sighed loudly, flipping his phone face down. Are we seriously doing this? Can we just talk about what matters? What matters? I asked. My car, he said flatly. I need one. College is impossible without wheels. Mom jumped in before I could speak. We thought maybe you could help something reliable, nothing fancy. Caleb smirked. Like a Mustang. Used, maybe. And I need a new phone, too. This one's ancient. I stared at them, both disbelief twisting into something heavier. You're asking me to buy you a car and a phone. After I said no to the tuition, Caleb shrugged. You've got it. What's the big deal? The heat in my chest turned into something solid, something sharp. The big deal, I said slowly, is that you think I owe you. You think you can walk into my life after 20 years and name a price for love. Mom's voice rose brittle. Don't twist this. We're family, Ivy. You're successful. Why shouldn't you help because you weren't there when we needed you? Her mask cracked. You sound just like him, she spat. Always keeping score. Someone had to, I said. Caleb pushed back his chair loud enough to draw eyes. Whatever. You're a joke. You act high and mighty now, but you're still the same scared little girl. Something inside me snapped. You don't know a damn thing about what it took to get here. The cafe went quiet, the sound of steaming milk cutting through the silence. Mom's tears were gone now, her face twisted into something colder. You'll regret embarrassing me like this. I stood grabbing my coat. No, you'll regret underestimating me. As I walked out, I caught our reflection in the glass door, me straight-backed and calm, her reaching across the table, eyes wide with fury. Caleb's phone camera flickered like he was already recording the narrative he'd tell later. Outside, the light had turned harsh, the Florida sun glaring off the pavement. My pulse was steady, but deep down, I knew this wasn't over. They'd come to take what they thought they deserved. Next time, they'd try to steal it. 2 nights later, I was finishing a late project when the buzzer on my apartment rang. It was past 9. I almost didn't answer, but then her voice came through the speaker, sweet, shaky, pretending. "Ivy, honey, can we come up just for a minute? My stomach sank. I cracked the door open, and there they were again. Mom clutching her purse like a prop, Caleb hovering behind her with that same half-bored expression. My better judgment screamed no, but I let them in. Maybe it was habit, or maybe I still wanted to believe she wouldn't cross another line. She sat down, looking around like she was taking inventory. "You've done so well for yourself," she said. "Dad would be proud." The way she said Dad made my skin crawl. She hadn't earned that word in decades. Caleb dropped onto the couch, kicked his sneakers off on my rug, and started scrolling through his phone. "Nice place," he muttered. "Kinda small, though." I stayed standing, arms crossed. "What do you want?" Mom blinked, all soft innocence. "We just came to talk. It feels good to be together again, doesn't it?" I didn't answer. She sighed dramatically. "I know you think badly of me, but I just want to make things right. Caleb's struggling, and I hate watching him go through what we did." I almost laughed. "We didn't go through anything together, Mom. You left." Something flickered in her eyes. "I had to survive Ivy. You don't understand." Before I could respond, I noticed Caleb had moved from the couch to my desk. My laptop screen glowed. He was typing. "What are you doing?" My voice cut through the room. He turned, smirking. "Relax. Just checking your setup. You've got some security stuff, right?" Two-factor whatever. I crossed the room in 3 strides and slammed the laptop shut. "Get away from that." Mom stood, her voice sharpening. "Don't be dramatic. He's just curious." I flipped open the lid long enough to see my bank portal glowing on the screen. My pulse pounded in my ears, curious about what my savings account. Her tone turned cold. "You've got so much, Ivy. Why hide it? We're family." I stared at her, really seeing her for the first time, not as the woman who'd left, but as someone who'd weaponized motherhood to take whatever she wanted. Then something clicked. Dad's email. The one he used for everything, including my old scholarship forms. I opened the app, unread messages from her address forwarding my income details. My blood ran cold. "You hacked Dad's email," I said quietly. She didn't deny it. "He's careless. I needed to know how you were doing." Caleb snorted. "You should thank her for checking up on you." My voice came out, low, steady. "You violated his trust, and mine." Mom's mask finally slipped. "Your father was a failure, Ivy. He kept you small. I'm the reason you're strong." That did it. I picked up my phone. "You broke into my accounts. You hacked my father. You don't leave, now I call the police." Her face twisted. "You'd call the cops on your own mother." I held her stare. "On anyone who crosses the line." Caleb scoffed. "Chill. It's not that serious." But the look in my eyes must have told him it was. They left in silence, the door slamming hard enough to rattle the picture frames. My hands were shaking when I turned the deadbolt. The screen still showed failed login attempts, time-stamped minutes apart. She'd already tried again. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like that abandoned little girl. I felt something colder, sharper clarity. They wanted a war. They just started one. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my desk with the laptop open, scrolling through the digital footprints they'd left behind. Failed login attempts, password resets, forwarded emails from Dad's account. It wasn't just a family betrayal anymore, it was data. And data leaves a trail. By morning, I had screenshots, timestamps, IP addresses, everything I needed. That's when I called Mark Sullivan, a lawyer. A friend at work had once recommended, just in case life got messy. Mark didn't waste words. After I finished explaining, he said quietly, "This is criminal access and financial intent. We'll build a case." It felt strange to hand him a flash drive instead of a story of heartbreak, but maybe that was the point. For the first time, emotion wasn't my weapon, evidence was. When I called Dad to tell him, his voice broke. "She used my email," he whispered. "After all these years, she did," I said. "But not anymore." He sighed, the kind of sound that comes from decades of disappointment. "Do what you need to, Ivy. I trust you." 2 weeks later, I was standing in the courthouse hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing above me, clutching a file with my name on it. Across from me, Mark flipped through papers with the calm of someone who's seen every kind of human greed. The hearing was short. The judge reviewed the documentation, her brows tightening. When she signed the order, her voice was firm. Permanent restraining order granted against Marie Stone and Caleb Grant. Those words hit like a bell, clear, final. I stepped out into the Florida heat, the sun glaring off the courthouse steps. My phone buzzed bank notification. Another failed transfer attempt, $10,000 from my savings. My security protocols blocked it instantly, but it proved what I already knew: they hadn't learned a thing. I forwarded the alert to Mark. His reply came a minute later. They just handed you proof of violation. We'll file for charges. For the first time in weeks, I smiled, not out of revenge, but relief. I'd drawn the line, and this time I had the law standing behind it. A month later, word spread through our extended family. My Aunt Ruth called, voice heavy with regret. "Marie's been like this forever," she said. "Lying, borrowing, taking. You were just the latest target." Her honesty didn't heal the wound, but it stitched something closed. Mom and Caleb faded from everyone's lives after that. No more calls, no more guilt trips, just silence. The kind that doesn't ache anymore. By winter, I'd channeled everything into something new, a scholarship fund for kids from low-income families in Ohio. I called it the Foster Grant. It was ironic, I guess, turning their names into something good. At the launch, I handed out the first award to a quiet girl who reminded me of myself at 9. She said, "Thank you for believing in people like me." I smiled. No one should have to earn love with money. That night, when I walked home through the cool air, the city lights reflecting off the river, I realized I'd finally taken back what my mother stole years ago: peace. A year later, my life looked nothing like the wreckage they left behind. My apartment was still the same, quiet, sunlit, organized, but I was different. I'd stopped checking my phone expecting chaos. I'd stopped waiting for apologies that would never come. Dad came to visit that spring. He stood in my kitchen drinking coffee from the mug I'd bought him years ago, the one that said, "World's Most Stubborn Man." He laughed when he saw it, his eyes soft. Guess the apple didn't fall far. He wasn't wrong. I'd inherited his grit, his calm under fire. The things Mom once called weaknesses had saved me. The charity was thriving. Every month I got letters from students in Ohio thanking me for the chance to chase something bigger. One night, I opened a new email subject line. "You changed my life." It was from a teenage girl who'd used her scholarship to study data science. "I want to be like you," she wrote. "Independent, unafraid, and kind, but not stupid kind." I laughed out loud. She got it. I used to think revenge meant hurting the people who hurt you. But now I know it's simpler. The real revenge is peace, the kind they can't touch, can't steal, can't fake. If you've ever had family show up only when they smell success, I want you to hear this. You don't owe them your silence, your guilt, or your savings. You only owe yourself freedom. Tell me where you're listening from and if you've ever had to draw your own line. And if this story hit home, hit subscribe. There's more where this came from.